And it started out with a crash at Roswell. But actually, what the crash didn't actually happen in Roswell. Happened closer to Corona, New Mexico, southwest of Corona, New Mexico. And a second crash site that occurred in Magdalena, or Horse Mesa, out west of Magdalena, New Mexico, which wasn't located at the same time the Roswell crash was in '47. The crash in Magdalena wasn't located until about '49.
And did they share with you what they found during that investigation and recovery?
They showed us the movie. They actually showed us, I believe it was a 16 millimeter movie on the recovery. And the narrator of the movie, it was obviously the movie was classified, highly classified. The narrator of the movie detailed when the crash occurred, approximately when the crash occurred in the latter part of June of 1947, and the recovery, showing military personnel at the recovery site, recovering the bodies at the site, and the craft that was at that site. And one live extraterrestrial was found at the site. And we were told that the extraterrestrial went to Kirtland Air Force Base at that time, and then on to Los Alamos for some time. And it didn't explain fully in the movie exactly what happened to that extraterrestrial, although it did explain that it died in I believe it was 1952. But the bodies of the extraterrestrials that were found at the scene were in a deep freeze, placed in a deep freeze, and sent to Wright Pat Field in Dayton, Ohio.
Did they show the actual footage of the craft and bodies? And
yes.
So what did it look like? What did they look like?
The craft was more or less an oval egg-shaped craft. It wasn't saucer-shaped. Mm-hmm. The creatures were about 4 foot. Some of the creatures were mangled, were heavily injured, and their bodies were torn apart. But 2 of the bodies were pretty much intact, and I'm not sure why. If there was an autopsy, they didn't discuss that. But the creatures were approximately 4 foot. They didn't appear to have any ears. They had an indentation for the nose, very, very big eyes. They had a really tight-fitting suit. Almost looked like they were nude, but they actually had a very thin but tight-fitting suit on. The fingers had no thumbs, just four fingers. Suction devices on their tips of their fingers, and one of them had a head apparatus on it, maybe a helmet or some kind of an earphone or some type of device that they were communicating with the craft or with something else, and they found a number of different objects in the craft that they used, they experimented with, and found they had a piece of, they thought was plexiglass. It was a rectangular piece of plexiglass that they kept for years before they figured out it was the energy device for the craft. And then they showed us the recovery of the craft in 1949 in Horse Mesa.